$1.9 trillion COVID relief bill. The House Budget Committee will take up the bill today, and it is expected to make its way to the House floor later in the week. Here's the story.
More than a year after the first known coronavirus.
1 in 5 Americans are behind in their rent. 1 in 10 are behind in their mortgage.
Nearly a year into the coronavirus pandemic, the stats are grim. And so are the milestones as the death toll rises.
We're not going to get our economy back in shape until we beat this virus.
So as the vaccine rollout continues, President Joe Biden hopes his $1.9 trillion relief bill will be the shot in the arm the economy needs. But it won't be easy.
Critics say my plan is too big.
A big sticking point for Republicans.
It should be focused on helping families and small businesses who are struggling, not bankrupting our children.
The bill includes direct payments to millions of Americans, $1,400 per person. So a family of 4 could end up seeing $5,600. There's also an extension of $400 in weekly unemployment benefits, along with more money for schools, small businesses, vaccine distribution, and funding for state and local governments, among other things. There's a proposed minimum wage increase to $15 an hour, which may prove to be the biggest hurdle.
I know there are questions about whether or not the Senate can get it through, but I can tell you this $15 minimum wage increase would mean 30 million Americans would get a raise.
After the House vote, the bill will head to the Senate, where Democrats will need every member of their party on board to get it across the finish line. I'm Britt Conway reporting.
After more than a year, trends of the potentially fatal coronavirus are falling, but health officials stress the battle is far from over and remind the public to remain vigilant.
Year after the first known coronavirus-related death in the U.S., the country is about to reach a grim milestone.
It's nothing like we've ever been through in the last 102 years since the 1918 influenza pandemic.
The U.S. death toll from COVID-19 is expected to pass the 500,000 mark within the next few days, and the latest forecast from the University of Washington's Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation predicts another 91,000 COVID-19 deaths by June 1st.
And that's the reason why we keep insisting to continue with the public health measures, because we don't want this to get much worse than it already is.
In addition to masking and keeping distance from others, Americans are also advised to get COVID-19 vaccinations as soon as possible.
We have a real chance with these vaccines of turning COVID-19 from the deadly disease that it currently is into something like a bad cold or the flu if people are vaccinated.
According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, more than 18 million people in the U.S. are fully vaccinated.
That's what give us back our lives and our economy and our kids getting back to school.
Thank you for that. As more vaccinations are rolling out across the nation, hope is upon us. This Black History Month, we are highlighting exceptional black leaders in history. Maya Angelou, an American poet and civil rights activist best known for her series of autobiographies, received dozens of awards and honorary degrees. As a civil rights activist, Angelou worked with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. She was respected as a spokesperson for black people and women, and her works have been considered a defense of black culture. Next, we'll take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, Josh Weitzel will break down our changing weather situation. For the Daily L, I'm Brody Myers.
right, and welcome back, folks. I'm Joshua Weisel here in the Ocala Storm Studios, taking a quick look at this evening and tonight. Not a whole lot in the weather headlines for this upcoming week, except for some rain chances coming up towards the end of the week. I'll get to that in just a second, but take a look at this. 65 for temperature now throughout the day, and just for a little bit more this evening before we see temperatures start to go into the 50s, 40s, and even below freezing. Take a look for your early morning commute to class tomorrow morning. We're going to be around the 20s before we warm up into the 40s by around 9 a.m. across the area. And take a look, this is for tomorrow across the area. This is something we haven't seen in quite some time after that winter storm, is temperatures well above normal. As you can see, our average high is 53. We're going to be 75 tomorrow, so this is going to be really, really good. We've missed this type of weather. Clear skies and a high of 75 across most of the state. Not only us, but even down into Texas. You'll see parts of the area will be near 70, near Dallas and Abilene, and even into the Little Rock area. Moving on, though, we do have another cool down, but this isn't going to be like what we saw the other day. Cold front's going to move through Wednesday into Thursday. We're going to be closer to that average high, mostly sunny skies across the area with that cold front moving through. And now we're going to take a quick look at the snow totals that we saw across the area from this past winter storm from the 14th to the 17th. 10 inches at Tulsa, Oklahoma City, and between 8 and 10 across Stillwater. The average across these parts of the states is between 1 and 2 inches. So it's fair to say that we beat that by a lot with this past snowstorm. So as you can see, between 8 and 10 inches, this was blowing snow. So this was rather difficult to measure because the dry snow would just be blowing, so you couldn't really get an exact measurement. But this is what we're gauging so far via the National Weather Service. So here's my allergy index for the area. As you can see, if you've had any sort of allergy issues, it's mostly because we have tree pollen in the moderate levels. Everything else is low. So this will be through tomorrow and the next couple of days until that cold front pushes through. We're going to see tree pollen at a moderate. And here's my 7-day forecast. So I didn't really highlight well what we were all thinking when we saw that 75. So I'm going to move on real quick to this graph. I put fireworks, party hats, you name it. We're celebrating with confetti because we're almost 70 degrees warmer than what we were the other day. So this is something to celebrate. Again, another cool down as we head into the next couple of days, but not quite like what we saw. And as we head into the weekend, showers and storms are possible across the area. Not really high coverage expected, but we could see roughly 30 to 40% coverage across the area as we head into Monday. And then another cold front will push through around then. As you can see, this will not be as bad as what we saw last week, but still something to mention. You can follow me for updates on my social media. I post these throughout the week, so make sure that you stick around for that. But speaking of sticking around, make sure that you stick around for sports coming up right after this.
Oh, there you go. Superstar.
The end of the practice is when we do all of our, intensity drills.
Okay.
She was going at it.
Stop. If we get them to Detroit by, let's say Monday the 15th. Right there. There we go. Yeah. Just, you can't.
Don't want to talk about it.
When you see the water tower, you're going to make a right.
If we win this, we have one way to get to the playoffs.
I know.
Welcome back to the Daily O. I'm Griff McClellan, and it has been a long week for all of us, and there is plenty to talk about. So let's get right into it. The Oklahoma State men's basketball team will be in action tonight after the show, tipping off at 8 p.m. against Texas Tech. This will be the Pokes' first game in almost a week, as their game against the 17-0 Baylor Bears was postponed. The Cowboys are hoping for a good result against Tech, will propel them back into the rankings after losing their spot in the updated polls. Freshman guard Cade Cunningham put up one of his best performances last time out, scoring 21 points and getting the team involved with 7 assists. He will hope for more of that tonight. As for the women's team, they played Iowa State Saturday and hung on for their 17th win of the season. The Cowgirls are continuing to be led by rising WNBA prospect senior forward Natasha Mack. Mack scored 24 points, holding on to her strong averages on the year of 20 points and 12 rebounds per game. Iowa State did make the game close in the second half behind their top scorer Ashley Jones, who scored 23. But in the end, the Oklahoma State Cowgirls prevailed 80-73. Their next game will be against 7th-ranked Baylor. The Oklahoma State baseball team began their season yesterday against Wichita State in Wichita, Kansas. The Pokes got all their offense in the first inning, scoring 3 runs on the back of 2 RBI doubles center field from first baseman Alex Garcia and an RBI from outfielder Caden Trinkle. Pitcher Parker Scott got the win after 5 innings of work, which included 6 strikeouts. The Shockers did homer in the 8th to cut the deficit to 2, but in the 9th, Brett Standley got the save after a perfect innings striking out the side to make OSU 1-0. The Pokes are currently playing Game 2 in Wichita with the score being 14-6 OSU. The softball team played a doubleheader yesterday, first against Texas A&M Corpus Christi, as sophomore left-handed pitcher Kelly Maxwell pitched a no-hitter, the 3rd in her career. She finished with 10 strikeouts as the Cowgirls won with the run rule 11-0. Their second game was against Tarleton State. The Cowgirls scored 4 runs in the first inning behind 5 consecutive hits. This game ended via run rule as well, 12-4, and the Cowgirls improved to 6-0. They are playing Lamar in Beaumont, Texas right now. NFL Hall of Famer and Jackson State head football coach Deion Sanders had quite a day yesterday. After picking up his first win as a head coach, he announced during the media presser that he had personal items stolen from his office, which included his wallet and phone.
Mixed emotions. We won. The kids played really well. But while the game was going on, somebody came in and stole every darn thing I had in my locker room, in the coach's office. Yep. Credit cards, wallet, watches. Thank God I had on my necklaces.
This is the second incident he has had since moving to Jackson to become coach, as he had a boombox stolen and returned just a couple months ago. Jackson State hired Sanders back in September, but postponed their season due to COVID-19 and are now going ahead with an 8-game schedule. There was a leak saying that it wasn't stolen but misplaced, but Sanders squashed those quickly. On the bright side for Sanders, his items were secured after the perpetrator was caught. Jackson State won 53-0, and his former teammate Troy Aikman showed up to support him in his first game. The Oklahoma City Thunder were in action yesterday against the Cleveland Cavaliers and picked up a huge win. The Thunder have been struggling recently, dropping a handful of games, but were matched up against a team that is doing just as poorly in the Cavs. The Thunder handed them their 10th consecutive loss, 117-101. Point guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander continued to make his case for an All-Star appearance, putting up 31 points on 9 of 15 shooting. Al Horford chipped in a good performance, scoring 16 and pulling in 8 rebounds. In the end, it was an all-around performance for a team who has struggled for consistency. Again, the final 117-101. The Thunder are back home tonight as they welcome the Miami Heat. Other NBA news included the Timberwolves, who hold the NBA's worst record, fired their head coach Ryan Saunders after the Wolves lost to the Knicks last night. The Timberwolves are now hiring Raptors assistant Chris Finch immediately as Saunders' replacement. It is unusual for an assistant on another team to be hired during the season, with the last hire as such happening back in 2009. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Be sure to follow us on social media at @TheDailyO_TV. You can also watch our show on Amazon Fire Stick, Apple TV, Roku, and on Suddenlink Channel 112. We'll see you again on Wednesday. For the Daily O, I'm Griff McClellan. How was
Hi, I'm Will Joyce, the Mayor of Stillwater. As Mayor, it's my responsibility to help develop plans for a variety of resident needs, including roads, emergency services, and utilities. Some of those services are paid for with federal money that the government distributes to states and communities based on Census Bureau data. This is your tax money coming back to our community, but if you or your household aren't counted, we lose nearly $1,200 per person to places like Texas, Kansas, and Arkansas. So help bring that money back to local communities by filling out the 2020 census. This year, it's easy to do. You'll receive a postcard in March 2020 with a unique code for your address. Using that code, simply go online, call, or request a paper copy of the census and fill it out. I want to make sure that you and your whole household are counted in the 2020 census. It's important not just to Stillwater, but to all of Payne County.